Welcome back to Questing Beast. I'm Ben. Today we'll be taking a look at issues 3 and 4 of A Thousand Islands, which is a zine set in a fantasy version of Southeast Asia. Before we get started though, quick shout out to Daniel Griffin, Thorin Peterson, Ryan, and Vincent Brown, who've all recently become patrons over on my Patreon. Thank you so much for helping out the channel, guys. And if any of you viewers would like to help out the channel as well, head down to the description below where I have a link to my Patreon, where you can get a chance to follow along with my creation of Maze Knights, which is an updated version of my RPG Maze Rats. Getting back to our review here, we have issues 3 and 4. So I've done issues 1 and 2 previously. I'll put a link right up here where you can check out that original review. This continues by expanding on 2 new islands or settings within this larger world. So this is created by Zedeck Siew and Mun Kao, who did all of the illustrations, and it's a great pairing of authors working together here. As we'll see when we go through this, the illustrations are absolutely spectacular. They're some of the most beautiful artwork that I've seen in any RPG. And the zine has been just a delight to slowly get over time. So let's look at this one first. So the first one is The Forest Beloved by Time. A lot of the actual text is these short, almost poetic little descriptions, giving you a sense of the type of place that you're in, the geography, the mood. We have these little snapshots of different NPCs, often with very short descriptions that are extremely flavorful and give you a lot of very concrete hooks that you can use to run them. You get a very clear sense of their personality, how they might be useful, dangers they might pose, and so on. So the way into the forest, there's this kind of gate here with this rotten and this blooming tree that you pass through into this mythic forest. We have some ancient mythology describing the mythology of this place. We have a lot of great encounters. All of these zines are completely system neutral. There's no real mechanics involved at all. The most that numbers play into it are just random tables. What these zines do really well, though, is give you very concrete world-building tools. They give you gameable material that you would use to run a game like this. You are going to have to do some work yourself. It doesn't flesh everything out in extreme detail, but it gives you a very great sense of the place. Tremendous amounts of inspiration. We have a questing prince. We have an itinerant swordfish. So here's an example of the kind of NPC that you would find in this setting. She struck a deal with Sahang, the fisherman who caught her. She would lend him magic. In return, he would serve as steed and squire. Fed a diet of swordfish vomit, Sahang is one of the strongest men alive. The pair roam the uplands. Sri Jahisha wishes to see the unoceaned world. So really, it's a pair of NPCs, one of whom is just a magical sentient swordfish, and her Hercules-like servant who carries her around. It's so wonderful. It's such a clean, simple little idea that's so strange that players would immediately become obsessed with it if you presented it to them. And the whole book is packed with stuff like that. People and place. Absolutely wonderful black and white line artwork. We have some great locals. We have this woman that's slowly turning into a bird. And we have this blowpipe ace. A martial master. We have some strange artifacts and trade goods. Where they come from, what makes them magical or at least unusual. These giant leg-sized leeches. Leech spawn. So these are magical leeches that when they drain you, they don't suck blood. They steal other things, like your future child, or your tongue, or a year of your life, or a song you love, etc. So this is basically a giant ambulatory ape that looks like that is a beehive dripping with honey. We have the Mothman, or just the moth, how to get out of the forest. So if you just want a hallucinatorily strange and magical landscape to throw your players into, this is a tremendous resource. It comes with this as well, just names and places. This little handout full of great names that you can use. That's nothing on the backside there. Here we go. And the lay of the forest. So it says, only outsiders call this place Upper Heleng. To the people it is home, or the forest, and like them, their mother needs no name. The landscape is difficult even for locals. Rivers seem to writhe. Paths present today may be gone tomorrow. Every other day, drop a handful of dice. Whatever they land on is present. Otherwise, thick primeval forest. Die results matter. Evens are connected by rivers. Multiples of 3 are camps. So just by dropping some dice on here, you have lots of great little locations that you can then spin out into more detailed areas on your own. It's a great little tool. The second issue is issue number 4. And Yang, I'm not totally sure how to pronounce it. The Queen on Dog Mountain. This has another handout that we'll look at in just a second. So this is a mountain kingdom ruled by some very strange monarchs. We have a great rumor table, including things like witchery in the blood. They can buy curses off you. Not serious ones, only things like pox or rashes. They like buying those, not sure why. Lots of great other NPCs. So for example, we have a decrepit king. Jeweled belt, jeweled scabbard. But robbing him is a problem. Touch his sword and you gush blood from every orifice. His sword thirsts, tortures him, shows him everybody they killed together over the years. His wife and her lover, the king of Sintra, or the city of Sintra, the prince, his son. He whimpers in his sleep and wakes screaming. Hulan, if I'm saying that correctly, will beg the queen on the mountain to take his sword. She can keep it fed, maybe. Then he can be free. Then he can die, finally. These illustrations are so full of character. You get a very clear sense of who this person is. An exiled heir. A layout of a typical village. What the people there are like. They're all done in these very short little sentences. So, for example, bolts of cotton and fine silk. A person-sized calabash mounted on a post, wearing a half-finished vest. He is a seamster. That's all you need. And you can use that and build it into something more complete that fits whatever you like. Something is happening. Got a short little random table. Some trade goods, similar to the stuff that we saw in Upper Heleng, where it's weird stuff that you can take here and possibly trade to other places. So I assume that when this setting gets fleshed out in more detail, you could definitely go from island to island or place to place, take these strange trade goods, and then maybe make profits, going from place to place and selling them. That would be really interesting. Some crazy magic weapons. Their basic structure, a weird power that they might have. If you have really powerful ones, simple ones, you roll a d6. More powerful ones, you roll a d6 and a d20 to get more detailed or more powerful abilities. Some 3 laws of the place. Pay the tithe. Everyone pays in blood. But why? It's one of those mysteries that you can help unravel. The royalty, these very weird, otherworldly demigods? Minor gods, perhaps they're just demons, that help rule the place and that everyone obeys. They all have strange abilities like teeth like a shark's maw, or a silent tread, totally trackless, or perhaps gold body paint, a servant in tow with bucket and brush for touch-ups. We have the palace town and the palace itself on top of the mountain. This gets into a lot more detail. You can definitely explore this palace, move from location to location, and there's a lot of interesting NPCs there. Courtyards, kitchens, cemeteries, treasure houses, banquet halls, each with very impactful, short little descriptions. The grotto has a lake of blood. This is where the tithe ends up, where offerings are bled. Magic weapons ring its shores, blades touching the crimson liquid like deer tongues lapping water. The pump that supplies the palace's faucets is a thorny brass phallus. Its mechanism makes a beating noise. A pacing beat, maybe? Or a heartbeat? The lake's surface quivers. How deep do these caverns go? Only the queen knows. We have the palace atmosphere. Some of the court here. And the queen on the mountain herself. Has nothing to prove. Languor informs her movements. Unless she senses a threat, then she is lightning. She's like a half-human, half-spider thing. Wonderfully grotesque. The actual handout here for the palace looks like this. So we get a bigger picture of the palace. I suppose you could photocopy this and hand it to your players if they wanted a clear idea of where they're going. And then for the DM itself, or I guess this is more for the DM, I would say, because it has some secrets on it. A zoom in of what's going on here. And the secret areas underneath this palace where you can find the blood grotto. Great handout. So that's the next 2 issues of 1,000 Islands. I will put links down in the description below, as usual, where you can get it for yourself. Right now, it is available in PDF on Zedeck's itch.io page. And I believe on that page, there is a email address where you can email him and get physical copies sent to you. At the moment, there isn't a physical store to buy these, but you can still order them directly from him. Once there actually is a store for the physical books, I'll try and update the description so that that's available. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, everybody. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to get regular updates about some of the best D&D and RPG releases coming out today. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you guys next time.